We all love to buy a new home, but before you get that new home, you should really get it inspected. It's really in your best interest, and your realtor and the mortgage company and the insurance company doesn't have the same interest you have. And once you buy that property, it's your responsibility. So I suggest that you hire a professional home inspector. John Bowley is joining me from Building Specs Pros. He's our expert here on the program today. Hey, John.
Hey, Joe. I'm looking forward to talking today.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. Isn't it true when we buy a property, we should really get it inspected every time?
All the time. If you don't know what you're buying.
Exactly. We've talked about what happens when you go out to a property for a client and you start looking at it. You don't walk around the bushes or look at the outbuildings on the property. You look at the roof first, then you look down, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. You
And
look at what the
yep.
exterior siding is.
And in previous podcasts, we've talked about the roof. Let's talk about what's next, the siding. And there's different types of siding, right? There's stucco, there's brick or stone siding, there's wood, there's aluminum, there's just many different options out there.
Absolutely. And many builders, when they're building homes, they want to go cost efficient and they want to look at the different climates you're in. In my climate in San Diego, California, we have a lot of stucco. And stucco, when they build homes or flip homes, the stucco ends up not being maintained. And when it's not maintained, you'll start to see horizontal and vertical cracks in the stucco. And what is that going to do? Over time, that's going to create a penetration point for moisture. And that's what we want to educate the buyer. Hey, you need to maintain this siding. Or you might run into the siding that's improperly installed. If the stucco goes all the way in the soil and it's a new building and they butt the concrete up against the bottom of the stucco, where's the water going to drain to? It's missing what we call a weep screen. So that screen at the bottom is really important to discharge water out of the stucco. Also with the stucco is how it's applied. There's three layers of stucco. There's a scratch coat, a brown coat, and a final coat. Each one of those coats of stucco on the house need to what we call cure and basically dry. And then when you're putting the stucco on, what type of stucco are they using? What product line? And you need to pay attention because some don't last. And if they don't install it on the curing process, you're going to have a lot of water intrusion within the home, especially around windows and doors. Sometimes you'll have a window and it's missing a Z bar. Now, when you're applying the stucco, they want that flashing. So when they put that window encasement in, that flashing at the top protects any moisture from penetrating that area. Or around the cracks, you see cracks. You want to make sure if you can stick a quarter in that crack, you're going to get water.
I'm sure you're the bearer of bad news sometimes. You might say, hey, the siding that was put on this home, this stucco, looks like it was put on 15 years ago or so. They've had trouble with those over the years, and I see some trouble with this. So when that happens, what does the homeowner generally do in terms of response? Do they, ignore it, or they ask you for remedies, or do they walk away from the property? What do they do?
Well, I don't think you need to walk away from any property. I think you just need to put in mind when we're inspecting it, we're going to give you what we see and we're going to put it into um, a context of this is something of concern and this is something of maintenance. If it's a safety hazard, of course, it's going to be red flagged, but everything can be repaired. Stucco, if it's done correctly, yeah, it's repairable. How much of it's repairable and how long has the property been not maintained correctly? Um, but you can take stucco and repair it. It's an easy repair and you can use other methods now and apply it. But I think the main thing is um, I see a lot of homes that are brick veneer and stucco, or they have these materials that are blending together and one's failing and one's not. But all at the end of the day, you can get a request for repairs, or you can go to Quick Fix and they can give you those costs for that. They're here in San Diego, Quick Fix.
It's so important to figure out what's going on with the property you want to buy. You can negotiate a better price if there is a problem, and you can put your mind at
Absolutely.
ease. As John said, there's almost never a reason to walk away from the property, from the purchase, but you want to know what you're getting into, and you might be able to get a concession, at least at closing, to help pay for those, repairs and remedies.
Absolutely. Drainage is another one. So making sure when you do have the proper drainage, you don't want a bunch of vegetation up against the siding of the home or building. You want to keep that vegetation at least 16 inches away. And then you want the grading to slope away a quarter inch per foot. That way, we don't want sprinklers spraying up against the siding. Number one thing you see in just about every inspection. They go with the cheap landscaper. He puts sprinklers in. Where's the water going? Spraying up the siding. You pull up, you can see the discolorization on the outside of the home because of the hard water. The other part of it is if you do have vegetation on the side of the home, what is that going to introduce? It's going to introduce two enemies: moisture, insects, and the last one, rodents. Rodents are going to climb in there and nest. And what's that going to cause? You're not going to have a happy wife.
Yeah. Hey, John, this has been great. Great information as always. John has all kinds of information on his previous podcast as well. All of that's located in the description of this podcast, plus ways to contact him. John Bowley, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate it.
Joe, thank you. It's always good working with you.